There shall be no racial harmony for the next 20 or 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get used to the idea. There shall be no racial harmony. If you're going to win your freedom, for the next 20, you're going to be disliked by a lot of people and a lot of ethnic groups. Yeah, you got to get used to living with great tension if you're going to reclaim yourself and reclaim your life. If you're trying to maintain peace and harmony with every other ethnic group, they're going to put conditions on it. You can maintain harmony if you let me sell to all your kids and you never own anything. You can maintain harmony as long as you don't disturb my economic domination. It's just like this anti-Semitism stuff that's got LIB jammed up. Oh yeah. People, you know, at one point it's not a race, it's a religion. At another point it's a race. You know what's going on here? The thing that you have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a political strategy. Yes, sir. And an economic what? Strategy. An instrument of what? Control. A means by which one can control the behavior of others. You can call it religion, ethnicity, anything you want to, but its ultimate reality is that it is used to do what? Control the behavior and perceptions of other people in the interest of the people who belong to that thing. That's all it is. And the first question you ask, and so the thing goes out, you're anti-Semitic. Now, it doesn't matter what you said, whether you told the truth or not the truth, or this or that, has nothing to do with that. Not at all. It has to do, now the next question you're going to ask is, oh, how can I not be anti-Semitic? Don't say this, don't say that, don't do this, don't do that, and then we won't call you what? Anti-Semitic. And so when you're striving to be what? Not anti-Semitic, you then what? Fall under the control of another people. Regardless as to whether they are right or wrong, or regardless of how unfair they are, as soon as you meet the requirements of not being called anti-Semitic, you're under control. And yet here's a people that's less than 3% of the American population, less than 1/10 of the world's population, who through the use of that term and through the throwing of that accusation can manipulate whole political and economic and social systems. And then they're the first one to tell you that you shouldn't talk in terms of race. And you should not use what? Your ethnic identity as a base of what? Power. And you should not use your ethnic identity as the base for political and economic strategies, you see, and as a means of what? Controlling other people's behavior and so forth, you see. Ethnicity is much deeper than the demarcation of ethnic characteristics, man. You see, and cultural characteristics, you see, are part of the totality of a people's power. And we have to understand that. And when we are training our youngsters, we have to understand that. We have to get these young men to understand, and when we're training them for manhood and the young women for womanhood and so forth, it requires that we perceive white supremacy as the major social and political and economic spiritual problem to be resolved by African people. And that we ask ourselves the question, what kinds of men and women must we produce in order to overthrow white supremacy? And overthrow white supremacy must be our goal. If you're not about overthrowing white supremacy, you're not about African-centeredness. And the other thing is, if you're not about nation building, you're not about African-centeredness either. Anyone here is talking about African-centeredness and so forth is not talking about nation building, and not talking about the building of a Pan-African economic and political system, is really, to my mind, not talking about African-centeredness. No, sir. Because the education of our children and what that education means and what it should contain and the educational experiences they should undergo must be defined within a framework of overall purpose and goals for our people. Where are we going? What is our major problem in the world? One of our major problems in the world is white supremacy. This is not the problem of white children, you see. And an appropriate education of African children then requires that they be trained to do what? Solve that problem. And an education that does not include how to overthrow white supremacy among black people and how to destroy white power over black people is not African-centered. Mm-mm. I don't care how much culture you teach, how much history you teach. It's not about that. It's not about that. An education that is not about building a black nation and a nation within a nation and an African system of people cannot be an African-centered education. When you study economics and science and all of these other things, they must be studied within the frame of where you're going as a people and as a whole. You see, and their organization must be structured in terms of overall goals, national and international goals. When the United States has been challenged, white folk in the United States were challenged by the Japanese. They looked at what? Their educational system. And they are trying to transform their educational system and the educational experiences of their youngsters so that they can create in them the motivations and attitudes and relations that will make them possible to defend themselves against the growth of Asian power in the world. They're not just teaching them ABC, 1, 2, 3, or how to add accounts. All of this has to be integrated under a national goal. You see, we are doing business not only just because we want to go to work and come home and buy beer and look at football, but because doing business in this way and relating to each other this way and doing accounting in this way and so forth, allows us as a nation to protect our interests, to maintain our style of life, to maintain our freedom and independence. Even though you as an individual think
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Yo, what's going on, Consider? Shouts out to Consider in the building, Realm in the bush. Make sure you support Consider and what she's doing. Yeah, my brother, my good brother MD2, he put me on to, I didn't even realize, it was Colin Ferguson Day, and I never really understood or really knew too much or recognized too much about what happened back then, and um, so I think that we should understand who he is, what happened, what I'm saying, everything that went down. So yeah, like so shouts out to my good brother MG2, what I'm saying, for putting me on to that. And so let me because I didn't want to show nothing like super bad, like, or like negative right now, you know what I'm saying? But it's a reason why I do, but I didn't want to show that right now. And so, I think we should definitely pay homage to the good brother here. If it'll work. I don't know if it's gonna work now. Let me see. Yeah, it's not working now. All right, hold on 1 minute. All right, my bad, my bad. My computer just messed up. It wouldn't let me do nothing. All right, so all right, my bad. Here we go. Hopefully it'll work. Yeah, so this is just a little bit about the brother Colin Ferguson, you know what I'm saying, to go back to what happened and hopefully this gonna work. If not, then I don't know. Yeah. Cause it don't mess up until you like open up like StreamYard and stuff like that.
Ferguson Colin. Same way we end up representing most of the people that we end up representing, he contacted us. We laid out a strategy, a course of action for him, which involved his only conceivable defense in this case, which was the insanity defense. And Kunstler couched it with the phrase black rage. And once that phrase was used, it created a tremendous amount of rage in the white community.
What, did I suppress this guy? Did we suppress him? I didn't do a damn thing. I didn't know him. Why didn't he go on a train to Brooklyn? Why did he come on a train to Garden City?
What the hell is in Brooklyn? Why should he get on the train in Brooklyn? But anyway.
Predominantly white people.
Today in question, the entire file spilled in the back seat of the vehicle, and I think this is totally unacceptable.
You also were here at 9 o'clock this morning and had up in about 2.5 hours to rearrange the work, and as I understand it, you did absolutely nothing during that period of time while you were in the detention cell.
Judge,
At this point, just to say that you need more time is absurd to the court.
The fact that Colin Ferguson was a ticking time bomb was apparent to everyone who had come into contact with him. He dealt with Adelphi University. He became obsessive, threatening, menacing.
If you disagreed with him, then he would associate you with racists. That, oh yeah, you are agreeing with racists. That's why you don't want to agree with him.
He was mad because he was calling him out on clue. Like, man, you could stop calling it and stuff. Like, he was like, what?
That's why you don't want to agree with me.
He was suffering from very extreme and extensive mental illness that interfered with his mental functioning as a defendant. The ultimate break came when he accused us, his attorneys, of staging the Nassau.
So you see, let me see. Oh yeah, so all right, he was like, yeah, he had no remorse.
The person who committed this crime is an animal.
His head bowed and his hands shackled, 35-year-old Colin Ferguson.
He said his brother was an animal, right? So the person who did this, like, you know what I'm saying, who got tired and fed up, right, is the animal.
Committed this crime is an animal.
His head bowed and his hands shackled, 35-year-old Colin Ferguson of Brooklyn was taken from police headquarters to his arraignment. The unemployed man, born in Kingston, Jamaica, said nothing during the brief proceeding at Nassau District Court.
He had no remorse over what he did. One of his first questions to us was how many people were dead. And then he wanted to talk about why he didn't get a B in a college course.
He was like, how many people are dead? Now, look how he tried to put it, how he didn't get a B in a college course.
B in a college course he was taking because it was racist. And we would try to bring it back to what took place on the train. And he would try to talk about the problems he was having with the job that he recently got injured on. And he wanted workman's compensation.
Right, so, you know, the brother was recognizing and facing the racism and discrimination. That's why you saw the other brother coming up there. Oh, if you didn't agree with him, he call you siding with the racist, you know what I'm saying? And the brother apparently got hurt on his job and they screwed him out of his money. So, you know, he probably was, you know, hurting, you know what I'm saying? He was injured. He didn't have a way to protect himself, you know what I'm saying? Yo, what up, my brother guy? And pretty much, you know, this brother was, you know what I'm saying, just kind of messed up, right?
How they had flim-flammed him and conned him into accepting a certain amount. When Ferguson got on the train, he took the absolute perfect seat for him for what he was planning on doing. the very rear of the train. He took his weapon, he stepped to the aisle, and the first person he shot was sitting in the seat directly opposite him.
Yeah, and that's why this brother, like, he snapped. He went off, you know what I'm saying? He came into his right mind, you know, where he was like, man, I'm tired of this. Like, their host now, you know, it would be preferable to, like, hit something that'll hurt more, you know what I'm saying? But anyway.
The very rear of the train. He took his weapon, he stepped to the aisle, and the first person he shot was sitting in the seat directly opposite him. He's walking down the aisle, turning into each row, firing at people on the ground. As I said, there were times where someone would be lying on top of someone else, and both would be hit by the same bullet. He turned to go back.
Got him 2 for 1.
He turned to his seat here, where he would have gotten the clips. And 3 men, right from this area, jumped him and rushed him.
And just, so you see, like with their propaganda, it's always like when it's, oh, look at this animal, this savage crime. But when they kill like millions of you, oh, well, you know, this is for the greater good, that we did this for the best interest, you know, because that's how their propaganda works. You understand? Now we understand that, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand that. So this brother, you know what I'm saying? Like now, if he would have got the word from like a U.S. official, then we all be like, oh, okay, cool. But since this was for the interest and with the mindset of black only, you know what I'm saying? Now it's
strong hostility being harbored by him in terms of racism. He targets Caucasians. He targets.
It is racism by Caucasians and Uncle Tom Negroes. Now this is racism here, definition of racism. But he said it is racism by Caucasians and the Uncle Tom Negroes, or handkerchief head Negroes.
Targets Caucasians, he targets blacks, he targets Orientals.
Oh man, don't even get into the Oriental thing yet. By the way, you know, I just want to play this real quick because my brother Khalid Muhammad said it best.
So many of the front pages of America. Here's what you said about Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican a black male who shot 6 people on a Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. I have no official position, so I can say I love him.
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
So before I go off of it, just to play, just because, you know, this happened, then I'm only gonna play a few minutes of this. Y'all can watch this if y'all want to. If you want to learn more about it, you can just look it up. You know what I'm saying?
In the next hour on Trial Story, a crowded commuter.
This is a case of stereotype victimization of a black man.
A crowded Long Island Railroad commuter train was just pulling into the Maryland Avenue station in Garden City, Long Island on December 7th,
What up, my brother Bakari?
when passengers were disturbed by loud sounds.
I just thought there were rocks being thrown at the train.
Passengers inside the third car watched with horror as a black man, later identified as Colin Ferguson, started shooting his way up and down the aisle.
He was pointing into the seats, sometimes with one hand, sometimes with two hands.
He looked me dead in the eye and pointed the gun, and with the most serious look I have ever seen on anyone's face, he shot me in the chest.
And I can hear him say, "You're going to get it, you're going to get it."
The gunman fired more than 30 rounds, many at point-blank range. He was reloading his gun when commuters tackled him to the ground.
The gunman was subdued by passengers on the train. The information we have at this time is that at least 3 people and possibly more assisted in apprehending him.
I don't know.
6 passengers were dead.
By the way, because you see how there's a difference, like when the white boy was on the train, you see how they could justify that kind of stuff, or where somebody killed somebody on the train and they called him a hero, right? But this brother was actually, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, I'm tired of this, you know what I'm saying? Black people stand up.
At least 3 people and possibly more assisted in apprehending him.
I don't know.
6 passengers were dead. 19 others sustained serious injury. Police charged Colin
Dad, before I even play this one, because I'll play
Ferguson
the other
with
one. I meant to show
93
this.
counts of murder, attempted murder, assault, and related felonies. Though more than 50 eyewitnesses identified him as the gunman, Ferguson says he was asleep on the train when the shooting began. But police found rambling, hate-filled notes in Ferguson's pocket that indicated Ferguson had, in fact, planned the shooting.
It had to be crazy to be shooting up a whole train.
Something went wrong with Colin, and something is wrong with him.
Ferguson's own legal advisor, Alton Rose, believes his client is mentally unstable. But Ferguson, who insists he had nothing to do with the shootings, decides not to pursue an insanity defense.
People versus Colin Ferguson, indictment 86739.
Against Rose's advice, Ferguson also decides to represent himself at trial.
As far as I'm concerned, a man who seeks to represent himself is a fool for a client.
Ferguson's decision to act as his own lawyer produced unusual exchanges in court.
The only time you have seen the suspect is on TV, am I correct?
I saw you shoot me, and I've seen you on TV.
Many of the shooting victims say they found it cathartic to face Ferguson in court.
There go that animal stuff again. Oh, look who we got here. A Denisovan. Right.
You are nothing and you are entitled to nothing.
You are nothing but a joker.
And a sister here.
I don't think that the founding fathers had that type of spectacle in mind when they say that you had the right to confront your accuser.
Rose, along with prosecutor George Peck and Judge Donald Belfie, went out of his way to safeguard Ferguson's right to represent himself.
A person has the absolute right.
All right. So, yeah, y'all can definitely check out more of that, right? Because I wanted to play this, right? This was last year, and they was like, it marks 29 years. So that means like that happened officially like 30 years ago today.
9 years since the Long Island Railroad massacre. 6 people were killed, more than a dozen wounded, when the gunman opened fire inside a train full of commuters in Garden City. Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy Maloney's husband was killed in the attack, and her son was seriously injured. Colin Ferguson was convicted on 6 counts of murder and 19 counts of attempted murder. He's currently serving 6 consecutive terms of 25 years to life at an upstate prison.
Now this was a year ago, and they say 29 years, but 1994 would be like, you know, whatever. It don't matter. But according to them, it's like whatever, 30 years since all of that happened. And you know, I'll just let them say
Man
this.
who shot a Jamaican, a black male who shot 6 people on the Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson, because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. official position so I can say I love him.
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
Right, exactly. I appreciate that. Now, also before that, like I meant to play this like a month ago, right? Because it was November 7th, like 180 years ago, 178 years ago, 180 years ago. This brother here, Madison, Washington, and a lot of people don't know this story, but like this brother was like a brother who escaped twice, right? Then went back to get his wife and, you know, freed a bunch of people. So I meant to play this, you know, on that day, speaking of like Colin Ferguson Day. So I wanted to shout out this brother too. So,
man born into slavery in Virginia who managed to escape.
By the way, yeah, he did this like right up the street from where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? Like 180 years ago.
Was a man born into slavery in Virginia who managed to escape, but risked his own freedom to free his beloved Susan. Washington was described as having extraordinary features, superb leadership qualities, and a fierce spirit. He was considered a fugitive for escaping slavery and heading north to Canada, eventually finding work with a farmer named
What up, my brother Black Megas?
Mr. Dickinson. Even as a small child, he would rebel against the inhumane treatment of he and his people. But rebellion is what eventually earned Washington his place in history. Around the age of 20, Washington would meet the love of his life, the beautiful Susan, who he would make his wife. His plan was to escape from slavery, freeing himself.
I'm sorry, y'all, but like none of these videos, like, and I don't know why they put all this loud ass music on it. Even if you play it, like, play it lower. I don't know why they put all this music on it.
And he eventually traveled north to Canada to live in free land. While in Canada, Washington's plan was to get a job and save enough money to buy the freedom of his wife, Susan. He was becoming discouraged in carrying out his plan because he realized it would take 5 years to raise the money needed to free his wife. Washington had made his mind up, and he would return back into the grasp of slavery if it meant the freedom of his Susan. Mr. Dickinson, the farmer, tried his best to persuade Washington to take another course of action. He eventually left Canada with his wages and his freedom papers, heading south to free his wife. He was able to reach an area close to the farm where his wife was held, but had to conceal his identity to prevent from being captured. Washington was still considered a fugitive. And
all right, so yeah, this brother, his wife was being kept, you know what I'm saying, like in a plantation, like near here, like where I'm at. And although he had escaped himself for Canada, he was like, man, I got to go back and get my wife, you know, go back and get my family. So like what he did, he had like weapons like sewn into his clothes and stuff like that. And then he went back down there to meet her, right? To find her and get her. And according to the story, that's why he was like, yo, they was having a corn shucking, which is basically like a cookout today, right? So he was able to go over there, but then he got recognized or somebody snitched on him or something like that at this corn shucking, right? And so he got caught up into slavery, right? So I guess that's where he at.
Anyone who recognized him would have blown his cover. Being a man of tact and organization, Washington carried miniature files and saws within the lining of his coat. These would help him break out of any chains used to restrain him. Liberty is worth nothing to me while my wife is a slave, uttered Washington as he held conversations with fellow travelers who tried to convince him to abandon his plans. As he traveled closer and closer to the plantation that held his wife, he was forced to travel at night for fear of being recognized by someone. Washington would find temporary shelter in the woods near the farm where his wife was held. He would often try to gain information about her, but was unsuccessful. One night, while in hiding, he discovered he also was very careful to only ask a few questions and remain in the shadows. At the corn shucking, he did manage to learn that his wife had not been sold and was still at the old farm. Being too eager to see his wife, Washington entered the perimeter of the farm but was spotted by an overseer. The overseer alerted other white men on the farm, and the first 3 men to approach Washington were struck in the face and knocked to the ground unconscious. Eventually, Washington was subdued, shipped to Richmond, Virginia, and sold to slave owners Johnson and Epperson. New Orleans was the destination for the Creole, a ship controlled by Captain Ensign and owned by Johnson and Epperson.
Now I know a lot of people be like about the slave ships and all that stuff, but they like even here, like in the area they was kind of shipping them off from, now it's like Rocket's Landing. It's like what they had, like the Annabelle Lee used to be out there. It's like a boat that take you around, but they literally put slaves on boats and shipped them, even just in America, like from Virginia to like down to like New Orleans, where the 2 biggest slave markets were. Like Richmond, Virginia was actually the biggest slave market, and New Orleans was like the second biggest, and then the biggest down super down south. You know what I'm saying? So
Washington and 144 other slaves were loaded upon the Creole along with other cargo the men were carrying to New Orleans. As the slaves were loaded upon the Creole, the men were placed in one cabin and the women placed in another. For fear of rebellion, the men were heavily chained, slaves very sick. Because a number of the slaves were sick, the overseers did nothing to the crew. The men barely moved, making them easy targets for the slaves. Hellwell, the Negro slave driver, and others from the crew drew their guns and began shooting some of the slaves. Washington spotted Hellwell wielding his gun. He approached Hellwell from behind, struck him in the head, wounding him severely. Washington led his men into battle with iconic flair, fueling his men to earn their victory. The slaves then dominated the crew and gained control of the Creole. Washington's men wanted to kill the remaining crew who were still alive, but Washington did not allow his men to kill the crew. For some reason, Washington was not very interested in killing the men, only gaining the freedom of his people and his wife. The next morning,
let's see, that's another thing there. You see black people, yeah, we're not just gonna do this. We just want to be free. We just want to be free. But it's something that we probably gonna have to get a grasp on. You know what I'm saying? In order to be free, you're gonna have to do certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Morning, Madison Washington was named Captain Washington, the commander of the Creole. Little did Washington know, his beautiful Susan was one of the women held in the cabin on the Creole. As the meal ensued and the men and women mingled, Washington and Susan shared a tearful reunion.
All right, so and I know like they would probably be like it's fake if they knew about this story though. You know what I'm saying? What up, Melanated Goddess? But yeah, but this brother, like, he did all that, and then his wife happened to be on board, but he freed like 100-some people and went to like the Caribbean or something like that. So I meant to play that because that happened I meant to play that a month ago on November the 7th, because people don't really know about this story. I think more people should know about the story. So I had to do that real quick, And then also I had to show you this real quick, all right? Because I know people was talking about, and I know also some MG2 was saying, like with our tents, they even going to take your tents away from you so they can give them to others. And now that it's super cold in Chicago, while a lot of our tax dollars are being spent, you know what I'm saying? This is something that Colin Ferguson was even dealing with, because he got hurt on his job, then they wouldn't give him like workman's comp, and he was like struggling, and he was just tired of their system. But there's this video of what's going on with the homeless black people in Chicago. I know y'all probably seen it though, right? What up, Oni? All right, so I know y'all probably seen this, like where they gotta go on the subway and all that stuff. Meanwhile, you see that other people, even though they don't pay taxes or whatever, they get hotel rooms and stuff like that. But like I said, a lot of these is the same issues, right? Now, I didn't want to show like negative stuff on this one, but I do have to show you this. You know what I'm saying? Now, because like speaking of history, why we don't learn a lot of history, a lot of problems with the school system is that, you know, we're not going to learn any of our history through their school system. And that's just the bottom line. That's why it's important for us to take the available resources we got right now to learn it and to teach them, so that we don't continue to make the same mistakes, but learn from the things that was successful, and to know that we wasn't always, you know, beat up. Like, you won a lot of times, you know.
To a serious issue facing schools in Wicomico County, Maryland.
What up, Coco?
Last year, at least 100.
Yeah, I was just about saying, talking about Madison, Washington, like, went there, where are you from, you know?
17 students, some as young as 5, were handcuffed and sent to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. Black students and those with disabilities are being disproportionately affected. Advocates and parents point to a lack of resources and trained staff, along with a punitive culture in some schools, as the root of the problem. Despite a 2017 settlement to reduce these emergency petitions, the numbers have only increased.
Right, so they're basically saying, like, in Maryland, a lot of Black children are being arrested and taken to the ER because of quote unquote behavioral issues, and also like disabled kids, right? Now, this happened before. This has been happening, right? Because I showed this a long time ago with that 5-year-old girl in Maryland. Is the same school district, so this is what they're talking about. But they're saying that it's like happening more and more right now, right? So
they put in handcuffs. Kathy Park reports.
Don't make me take you over there. You're working that tech down. Okay.
Tonight, growing outrage in Maryland over this newly released body camera footage.
Cut it out.
2 Montgomery County police officers responded to a call to bring back a 5-year-old student who left school after he allegedly broke a computer.
Get in. Now. I'm not asking. Get in the car. I don't want to hear it.
After the officers bring him back, the situation quickly escalated. Police blurred the identity of the child. Meanwhile, the yelling and berating is all caught on camera.
I mean, how do you learn that type of behavior at 5? That's why people need to beat their kids. Sit down.
yeah, like this. Oh, that's why people. But yeah, they've been handcuffing, arresting. They've been doing this in Maryland for a long time. But now they're saying that it's happening more and more, right? And then also, real quick, right, that this young brother here, right?
Family is considering a discrimination lawsuit against.
Now, this young brother that got suspended for his hair and stuff like that. Now, for some reason, the young brother went back to their school, you know, and then the very next day he got suspended again. You know what I'm saying? But then also, you know, I just wanted to play this last one about, you know, just the school. This is why we don't know about like history. We don't know who is a hero or why you would say somebody is a hero, or even who people like Colin Ferguson was, or who Madison Washington was, I should say, and or what happened with Colin Ferguson, or any of these things until you learn it on your own. But that's our responsibility, so that we know that we not, you know, just never fought back. We was just some slaves that laid down. That's not the truth.
Public Schools is investigating after a student allegedly threatened to kill all of the Black students and listed them by name. Parents say that it's an example of systemic problems within the district. 7 Action News reporter.
Now, this one, like in Detroit, right? Shouts out to the people in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? They talking about they kids is threatening to lynch Black kids, and you know that's what they're talking about. They never really said hang them in this thing, but that's what they're talking about, like lynching them.
Bernie spoke with concerned parents and the school district about what they are doing to keep students safe.
Students say the bullying started for them here at Marysville Middle School about 2 years ago. It has now escalated to death threats, and parents say they want the school to step up and do something before someone gets hurt. Students of color at Marysville Middle School.
I wake up, I dread going to school because of it. Like, middle school is already hard enough. This just makes it 100 times harder.
Say they are getting tired. This after they say they've been repeatedly victimized by other students making racially charged comments.
Started with small racial jokes, and then remarks. And then it escalated to being called the N-word, and with now the threats.
Devin Kidd says the same thing has been happening to him almost every.
See, now, I'm not gonna lie, right? I didn't say nothing, right? Because, with the first mixed girl, right? But like, it's interesting that this particular story here used only like the biracial children, right? And particularly ones, I guess, with moms like this, right? I'm not sure how she could have a black child, but that's a whole nother topic. Right? Because that's something else, you know what I'm saying? But I just was like, why did they use like to represent black people? You know what I'm saying? Which is a whole nother topic, so I ain't gonna go on there and say
happening to him almost every day for the last 2 years. And when he reports it, nothing is done.
Well, we used to go
that. Yeah, that's their policy, to arrest the children and take them to the ER when they have quote unquote behavioral issues, right? So when they have whatever issues, and as children as young as 5 that are being handcuffed and arrested, like that's not the only one, right? That's just been happening for years. And they're saying that, and it happens more with like teenagers, you know what I'm saying? Especially young black boys and young black girls too, And all of this it's a whole issue, because all of these things stem from all kinds of issues. But that's just the way that the system handles our children when they are in their school systems. You know what I'm saying? And instead of these little white dudes threatening even the biracial kids about lynching all of the N-words, you know what I'm saying? They aren't handcuffed and taken out of school.
2 years. And when he reports it, nothing is done.
Well, we used to go down to the principal's office, but since that's never worked out, we've just stopped and just stopped listening and stopped caring.
It all came to a head last Thursday when students say a white student threatened to kill all of the black students in the school, listing them by name while using racial slurs and referencing the KKK.
Very scary. I was in tears.
They also allege shortly after, a parent of the student making the threats showed up to the school armed. Local law enforcement is now investigating that claim. Parents say the district needs to act now.
It's hard to send him to school some days. It's hard knowing that my son is hurting inside, for something that he's not doing. It's just who he is.
The district says they are aware of the incidents reported and have opened an investigation. In a statement to our newsroom, District Superintendent Sean Whiteman says they are taking this very seriously, and the district has a zero tolerance policy for the use of racial slurs. He went on to say they are implementing a comprehensive strategy for students who may have been targeted, which includes increased monitoring and supervision in areas where the incidents have been reported, as well as ongoing educational initiatives to promote a culture of tolerance. Parents say something has.
School is a place where I should be learning, not fearing for my safety.
It hurts. I don't.
Yeah, look at this healthy black family here. That's not the point, though. The point is, I was showing at the very beginning the brother Amos Wilson talking about education and what it's designed to do, right? And for us to still be so, guess what? That's how it works, right? And like I said, I'm only showing this because our children being in danger should be enough, which it probably isn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't think slavery was enough, right? But I don't want to show like negative stuff though, especially right now. But speaking of like white moms and potential mulatto children, right? I don't know if y'all seen this with this brother here, Jonathan Majors. Right. So now the white girl then took the, speaking of, white moms and all of that, this brother, he said that he wanted his white girl to be more like Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King. And one girl, I seen one comment, the girls were like, yo, you should ask her to be more like Jackie Kennedy. Well, anyway.
His main accuser took the stand today in the actor's domestic abuse trial. CBS 2's Jessica Moore was in the courtroom.
34-year-old Jonathan Majors back in a Manhattan courtroom Tuesday as
I don't know, Bakari and them, y'all gonna learn about letting them white girls infiltrate anything, bro.
Jessica Moore was in the courtroom.
34-year-old Jonathan Majors back in a Manhattan courtroom Tuesday as his ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari took the stand to testify against him. The 30-year-old testified how she met Majors on the set of Ant-Man and started a relationship that intensified quickly before becoming abusive. Jabari sobbed as she told the jury Majors...
Oh, damn, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong. But, yo, they got her on the... They drew a picture of her crying with the tears. And... I used to play that Richard Pryor thing, like, yo, you don't ever want to go to court with a white girl, you know what I'm saying? She started crying, the judge started crying too, like, oh, we want everything. But yeah, this was the wrong one. Let me see. This was the right one because it's talking about.
I wish for the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro
on there, and what she said the abuse was. You know, they stopped playing all these commercials, but you know, whatever.
Testimony during the assault trial of actor Jonathan Majors. His ex-girlfriend took the witness stand detailing what prosecutors are calling a pattern of abuse. At one point, the jury heard a recording from her phone of Majors shouting at her, demanding she behave more like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. ABC's
Yo, peep that. That was the abuse that he did to her. He was shouting at her. Why can't you be more like Michelle Obama? Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know why she can't be like Michelle Obama, bro.
You're shouting at her, demanding she behave more like Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama. ABC's Aaron Katursky was in the courtroom all day. He joins us live now in Lower Manhattan.
What is Donald Trump's wife's name? Ivanka. He's like, why you ain't act like more like Ivanka Trump? That's what he should have been saying. Or Ozzy, what's the dude name? His wife, Sharon Osbourne or whatever her name. Why can't you be more like her?
Obama. ABC's Aaron Katursky was in the courtroom all day. He joins us live now in Lower Manhattan with more. Aaron?
I don't know what he was
Grace
attracted
Jabari
to.
said Jonathan Majors wanted her to be like those iconic women because he was a great man destined to do great things, and she was meant to support him. Before Grace Jabari said Jonathan Majors assaulted her.
Why not like Miley Cyrus or like the Catch 'Em Outside girl y'all made famous?
She described to the jury how she fell victim to his mood and his temper. Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari met on the set of Ant-Man in the UK. Shortly after, she recalled meeting his dogs. When Jabari casually mentioned how an ex-boyfriend of hers had a dog, she said Majors became angry and raised his voice. How dare I mention...
By the way, yo, Megan Good is right there, right? That's one thing I wanted to ask y'all, right? Because I know that's going to like cause a whole controversy in one side of like YouTube and stuff like that. It already has. But what do y'all think about like Megan Good, like being even just there? You know what I'm saying?
him, she said, quoting Majors, telling her, "It's embarrassing to him that I dated him. His dog is pathetic." It was the first time Jabari...
she said his dog is pathetic. Like, this the abusive one. It's embarrassing that I dated him. Yeah, right, girl. That's why he got to go and get Megan Good for cover, right?
He said, quoting Majors, telling her, "It's embarrassing to him that I dated him. His dog is pathetic." It was the first time Jabari said she was scared of Majors. Fast forward to March 2023, the two were sharing an apartment in New York and returning from a night out. "My head was resting on his shoulder," Jabari said. "We were chatting and he was scrolling on his phone."
Oh, I just got Jabari. That's her last name. Like, oh yeah. You need to be more like of the Jabari tribe.
"We were chatting and he was scrolling on his phone when a message popped up saying, 'I wish I was kissing you.' Upset, she told the jury she
right? Consider it's too late now. You didn't got caught up. You didn't got in trouble.
Popped up saying, 'I wish I was kissing you.' Upset, she told the jury she demanded to see the messages before she grabbed the phone. Then she said, 'I felt a heavy thud on top of me, what I knew to be the weight of him on top of me and him trying to pry the phone out of my fingers.' She described Majors pulling her right hand behind her back while holding the phone in her left. 'It just felt like he was twisting my arm and my hand and trying to make me..."
Y'all can hit the white girl tears when she's saying, like, you know how they train to like squeeze their face and like no tears come down? But anyway, I mean, I know, like, and then y'all be obsessed with that whole Jeezy and that other Asian girl You know what I'm saying? Y'all be obsessed with all of these other things. But it is true, like the brother came back to a black woman in the heat of trouble. And you know, I would say that's not a good look for that brother here. You done got caught up with a white girl, and Megan Good is right there. That's why I'm like, what do y'all think about that? You know what I'm saying? As a black woman standing by this black man's side, you know what I'm saying? While he's dealing with this white girl problems.
You feel pain. And the defense is going to tell the jury a much different version of that encounter in a for-hire SUV back on March 24th, March 25th. And the defense has already cast Jabari as the aggressor, said she scratched and clawed at Majors, left him bleeding. Behavior so out of control. An eyewitness the defense plans to call described Grace Jabari as Psycho Girl. Bill?
And so it's like he got witness. All right, so before we even see the end of this trial, right, he got witnesses, he got video, he got evidence, and she has white girl tears, you know what I'm saying? We'll see who wins this case, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I know y'all be interested in certain things, but you know, I just found that interesting. And he said, why can't you be like more like Michelle Obama, or might as well say like, I don't know, man. But anyway, yo. Now this one here, I will tell you this, all right? This is not exactly true, right? But it's still the point. It don't matter. It don't matter if it's true or not. I think this is where it come from. This white boy here. So it's probably not true, you know what I'm saying? Because of the NFL. But you shouldn't even be watching it. And this happened like before, so I didn't even know about it. But y'all shouldn't even be watching that nonsense anyway, because it's like retarded. But anyway.
Remember in 2016 when Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to raise awareness about the police brutality in the United States, and the entire industry blackballed him and ruined his career? And now they're turning around and saying, yeah, take a knee, support Israel, respect them. How can the NFL make such a big deal, national news, when a man stands up against police brutality in his country, but then encourage players to show respect towards an oppressive state that has bombed half of a city and killed over 15,000 Palestinians who they've been oppressing for 75 years? I don't understand it. I think this is a disgrace.
Now, yo, there's a couple things about this though, right? Because number one, I'm getting tired of y'all talking about this stuff, like especially in an ignorant way. Now y'all done boycotted Starbucks for another group of people. I ain't never drank Starbucks or none of that. But I don't want to hear excuse, right? If black people are like, all right, now this is affecting black people, the black community, we need to stand up and do something is before we talk about the oppressed peoples around the world, right? Because y'all can definitely go boycott for the other things, but if they be like, yo, don't go to a damn corner store, y'all like, yo, like the Palestinian corner store that called the police on George Floyd, you ain't stop going to that corner store. But let a Israel dude walk up in there and smack that dude. Now we're gonna like protest and all that stuff, and I don't know. It's just crazy to me. But let me play this.
Football, which I hate, but my husband loves. Sitting in front of games right now, he probably is.
Okay, so the NFL, y'all shouldn't even be watching this nonsense, right?
It's most likely ran by Jewish people.
So Sundays in our house means football, which I hate, but my husband loves. Sitting in front of games right now, he probably is. So the NFL, I hear, this evening is encouraging players to have a moment of silence and take a knee for Israel. Starting tonight, take a knee. Take a knee. Take a knee. Now, where have I heard that before? They're going to take a knee for Israel? A knee? You mean like take a knee? Like Kaepernick? Take a knee? Take a knee tonight for Israel. The NFL is suggesting that we have a moment of silence and take a knee. You know, like we tried to do a decade ago.
Now, to be fair, right, it did not say that, all right? It says have a moment of silence before each game, right, in honor of the terrorist attack in Israel. And really they using that as like a talking point to stand up for like, you know, like, oh, why not both sides and all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? But the point is though, right, here is a group of black men who's like mostly what the NFL is, groups of black men, right, who can say a moment of silence for this or that for whatever they want to have make happen. But here's a group of people, right, who can make their own schools so you don't have to worry about it. So you can learn about all the things that we need to learn about so that your children won't be in trouble, you know what I'm saying? And this group of black men just do some of the same things like that just gets us in trouble, you know.
For social injustice in Black Americans. Take a knee? Like that kind of knee?
Yeah, mental
The
illness is all I
NFL
can
starting
say.
tonight is going to have players take a knee for Israel. Not Palestine and Israel, just Israel. Take a knee. You can kneel now, guys. So taking a knee in a moment of silence for Israel at every game starting tonight. A night in which the death toll in Gaza has surpassed 1,500, with over 500 being children, and Human Rights Watch has confirmed that Israel has used chemical weapons on the civilian population in Palestine. Refuse the erasure of Palestine humanity. Now's the time for...
Now, I wish black people had a quarter of this energy for ourselves as we do for everybody else. And I think that we would be doing something, you know what I'm saying? Because we would do all kinds of stuff for everybody else, you know what I'm saying?
Created a firestorm when he kneeled for the national...
But yeah, they couldn't. I didn't see anybody do. They could kneel. They wasn't
States.
tripping. You know.
He took a knee and he got fired and blackballed. You know, I just I and later this evening, I believe at the Chiefs game.
All right, so you know, and like I said, that's not really true, but at the same time, you understand who a lot of the owners is. So even when they say we're not this and we're not that, you can literally be like, yo, let's look up the CEO of you know what I'm saying, XYZ company, you know what I'm saying, and see who that is, you know. And for us to still be sitting here like, yo, like it's games is why we in the same situation that we in, because we can look at Jerry Jones, right, and see that, you know what I'm saying, oh yeah, he was out there protesting, it's a damn shame, but yeah, go score the touchdown, Cowboys, you know what I'm saying? And then turn around and wonder why we in the situation, because we all look like Jonathan Majors when you think about it like that. But speaking of the shysters, right, I do want to play this, you know. Let me see. Because I know a lot of black people got mad about this girl, but that's coming from speaking about the shysters in the NFL, because that's what they was mad about. Them saying, "Oh, rest in moment of silence for Israel and the terrorist attack." Like, how dare you cross the Palestinians? You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to be like, you know what I'm saying, as black men, how can, and the black men actually do something for other people and don't do something for themselves? I'm going to be like, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway.
Holocaust education program, it is about education. You know, with 7,000 kids.
Yeah, I'll put it up in a minute. I'm almost done here. I'm gonna show like a couple more things because I want to show. I'm gonna get to the other topic after this.
By saying there are good people on both sides after the Charlottesville march, which is why.
All right, so this white girl, this shyster here. Now I guess some of y'all know who she is, and she in like some TV shows or something like that. Juliana Margules or whatever she is. But this is just interesting, this revisionist history, which is why it's important that we learn about our history, that going back to the original point of why we learn about our history, because now all of a sudden everybody understood hell, like Palestinians and Israel, white Israel people was holding hands marching for George Floyd, according to them, right? And along with the Asians and all of that stuff, if we look back, right? It's just crazy. And only George Floyd, by the way. But
1,000 kids know nothing about the Holocaust, right?
In 2021, I really saw that Trump had left this horrific hole when he legitimized anti-Semitism by saying there are good people on both sides after the Charlottesville march, which is why I started the Holocaust education program to begin with, because I truly do believe, and I'm seeing it clearly now, that education is the most important part of a child's life. It plants the seeds it stops the ridiculousness of, look, I'm not even a religious Jew. I wasn't even bat mitzvahed. It's not
even a religious Jew, not even Vlad not even a religious Jew, but they get on cold with their European Jew shysterness. You know what I'm saying? Like, we understand, and this is why, like, is the culture of shyster. It's just a different brand of, you know what I'm saying, Europeans, though. But it's what shysters do.
wasn't even bat mitzvahed. It's not. It's if anything like this had happened in the Black community, for example, 900 protesters left stranded on the tarmac in DC on their way to the rally because all the bus drivers walked out. If that had happened to any other marginalized community, this country would be in an uproar. But because it happened to the Jews, for some reason, it's laughable. And there's just such a strange story woven into anti-Semites, I should say, because I'm the first person to march in Black Lives Matter. When that happened to
now, what did Emmons Wilson say at the beginning about this anti-Semitism thing? When you fit into the margins of that, that means you're controlled by them.
I'm the first person to march in Black Lives Matter.
She was the first one.
To George Floyd.
That means I probably shouldn't be the second. If she was the first one marching for Black Lives Matter, I mean, I don't need to be marching for them if she was the first one. Damn, I ain't following her.
Black Lives Matter. When that happened to George Floyd, I put a black screen on my Instagram. Like, I ran to support my Black brothers and sisters. When
she put a flag, well, y'all put a flag. She put a black screen for George Floyd in honor of George Floyd. She was the first one to do that, right? It's like Joe Biden was like, yeah, happy birthday, George Floyd. He would have been 50 today, right?
when that happened to George Floyd, I put a black screen on my Instagram. Like, I ran to support my Black brothers and sisters. When LGBTQ people are being attacked, I run. I made a commercial for same-sex marriages with my husband in 2012. Like, I am the first person to jump up when something is wrong, as I think most Jews are, because we have been persecuted from the beginning of time.
Well, you know, y'all know that's shyster talk. Anthony said the two worst shysters have kicked the bucket recently: Henry Kissinger and Norman Lear, the creator of the Good Times. Oh yeah, I remember that. And then yo, that's a whole nother thing with them wanting to. That's a whole nother thing about how Good Times and that went. Yeah, our babies are still dying, right? But you see how they like, yo, I don't care, men, women, children, babies, right? Y'all see that?
I think it's just what it is, and you're 100% right. You know, if we use the wrong pronouns on college campuses, there'd be an uproar.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
forget it.
Look what's happening, and that's not to denigrate the use of pronouns.
It's those kids who are spewing this anti-Semitic hate that have no idea if they stepped foot in an Islamic country. These people who want us to call them they, them, or whatever they want us to call them, which I have respectfully really made a point of doing. Like, be whoever you want to be.
Now, do y'all see this? This is like something that they usually do, but we don't really pick up on it because it's not true, right? They conflate like all of this wokeness stuff, like black people and critical race theory, with they'd be like teaching about Ruby Bridges. It'd be the same thing as teaching that a man is a woman or something, right? They put the LBG stuff into the same category as the black stuff. That's just all one big thing of wokeness, right? And it comes from the, you know, all this other side, you know what I'm saying? And she uses that too, you know what I'm saying? But they always conflate the two, right? Just like when they had the Juneteenth, they had that throw the gay thing into it, you know what I'm saying? Because they always conflate these two issues. And let me be the first to tell you, a lot of those white boys who were slave owners was straight faggots, you know what I'm saying? They was molesting little boys, you know what I'm saying? So like when we start talking about white bitches giving them a pass, gay white dudes giving them a pass and all this other, that's nonsense. You feel me? A lot of them was straight gay, having sex with dudes or raping dudes. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that people don't want to talk about. The amount of, like, for example, people know about Frederick Douglass, how he was likely to be, you know what I'm saying, raped, you know what I'm saying, by a white boy. Like, they don't talk about all of that. Or like, y'all know about J. Edgar Hoover and stuff, but like, yeah, like, we're not going to act like this is two different things here. You know what I'm saying? The way that they try to act like it is two different things. All right, let me see. Oh, damn, now I shouldn't even did that. Yeah, that's not to denigrate the pronouns and stuff like that. Yeah, you know why they always talking about us. Y'all already know, you know what I'm saying? But that's just the thing that they do is just like they conflate the two issues and talk about this LBGT stuff, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm trying to get to the other part of it because she's no different than that other white boy who be talking about attention all the time. But all right.
It's those people that will be the first people beheaded and their heads played with a soccer ball, like a soccer ball on the field. And that's who they're supporting? Terrorists? I am stunned at my industry because if it was any other, can you imagine the WGA not putting out a statement after George Floyd? And yet, when it was the Jews, by the way, all of our great material on television is pretty much from the Jews. Like,
oh, damn. I keep messing up on this one.
Silent for so long until they were pressured into making a statement. You know, there was a film being shown by the.
All right, my bad. I don't know what's going on. It's starting to mess up. I must be shouldn't be talking about the shysters. You know what I'm saying? The hook nose people. You want me to say that? Is that better? Dude knows what's hook nose. I'm pretty sure her nose is probably hook too.
The WGA not putting out a statement after George Floyd, and yet
call them, my bad.
Which I have respectfully, really made a point of doing. Like, be whoever you want to be. It's those people that will be the first people beheaded and their heads played with a soccer ball, like a soccer ball on the field. And that's who they're supporting? Terrorists?
All right, so yeah, and listen, okay, yeah, they might, but they're gonna use your head like a football. That's the part she's leaving out. You know what I'm saying? They might use it like a soccer ball. They're gonna use yours as a basketball, right? Well, unless you shut up and dribble, right? If you're gonna shut up and dribble, they might let you, you know what I'm saying, make them billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they're gonna use your head as the basketball. You feel me? You know, you can't, or even just publicly castrate you, or physically do it in real life. You know.
I am stunned at my industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it was any other, can you imagine the WGA not putting out a statement after George Floyd, and yet when it was the Jews?
That was the part I was trying to go back to.
The Jews, by the way, all of our great material on television is pretty much from the Jews. Like, the fact that—
Did you hear that? Now, if one of y'all said, then y'all would be anti-Semitic. So y'all don't say. I can say it because I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? They're shysters. I understand that. But she said it. All right. Most of the material on TV, right? All this stuff about you being pimps and hoes and prostitutes and gay and liking white girls, even though the white girl part might be the only one that's true. They create all of it, right? The good times, as my brother just pointed out, right? All of these shows that you see on TV, all of this nonsense, guess who puts it on? All of the stuff that you hear, because she's just talking about TV, but on radio too, right? When you say, oh yeah, shoot an N-word in the head, shoot an N-word in the head. Oh yeah, we playing this on number one, you know what I'm saying? But oh yeah, yo, black people, let's hold hands and get together. All right, we ain't playing that at all. Scratch that. Same people making these decisions. So, by the way, she just admitted that, you know.
that they stayed silent for so long until they were pressured into making a statement. You know, there was a film being shown by this black lesbian club on Columbia campus, and they put signs up that said "No Jews allowed." And as someone who plays a lesbian journalist on the morning show,
as someone who plays a lesbian journalist on a morning show,
I'm more offended by it as a lesbian than I am as a Jew, to be honest with you.
I'm more offended as a lesbian than as a Jew, to be honest with you. That's the shyster talk for you. You understand? Lord have mercy.
It said "No Jews allowed." And as someone who plays a lesbian journalist on the morning show, I'm more offended by it as a lesbian than I am as a Jew, to be honest with you, because I want to say to them, you fucking idiots.
By the way, I don't know if you remember this clip with this girl who was talking to like the Colombian president, and she was like a biracial woman, but she was talking about black issues and she called them out or something like that. I think that's who she's talking about. I don't know her name though.
You don't exist. Like, you're even lower than the Jews. A, you're black, and B, you're gay. And you're turning your back against...
You're even lower than the Jews. You are N-word in, you know, they got to throw the gay stuff in there, right? Because, listen.
Than the Jews. A, you're black, and B, you're gay. And you're turning your back against the people who...
Yo, all of a sudden, right, because I'm looking on my phone, my thing just said, like, I had one person in the chat. It had one viewer. And that would have to be me because I'm looking in the chat.
Even lower than the Jews. A, you're black, and B, you're gay. And you're turning your back against the people who support you? Because Jews, they rally around everybody.
Right.
Did you see U.S. and the Holocaust, the Ken Burns documentary? Everyone should watch it. It should be mandatory watching. Especially for the black community, if I may. Because got his entire playbook from the Jim Crow South. The Nazis were watching how the Jim Crow South were treating slaves.
The Nazis were watching. So the Germans watched how the British was doing in the South of America, right? Well, they was the British. They are the British. I don't know, because y'all be like, I'm confused if the British control America or if it's the shysters, right? Because sometimes it's the British, sometimes I just know it ain't us. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same thing because they all like the same white people, you know.
Watching. Especially
All right, let me hurry up so I can put the link in there.
Because
I'm gonna show you who she is. Y'all watch her probably on TV or something because she's on some show. I don't know who the hell she is, but she's on a TV show that a lot of black people be watching. And then they was like, that's why they're mad about it and talking about it.
From the Jim Crow South. The Nazis were watching how the Jim Crow South were treating slaves and said, oh, great call. Let's do that playbook. That's what we'll do to the Jews. Which is also why in the civil rights movement, the Jews were the ones that walked side by side with the blacks to fight for their rights because they know. And now the black community isn't embracing us and saying we stand with you the way you stood with us.
By the way they stood with you is like, yo, and listen, we should stand with them the way that they stood with us. Because I showed you on video, like when they was having those things, especially like down south and stuff. The ones in the north, the Jews in the north protested a lot of the rights that you was getting. The ones in like New York and all that stuff, but the ones down south, they was angry. You know what I'm saying? And any Jew, any shyster that did join in, they shunned him from the community and they made sure that he got like locked up or punished or something, right? So they went out the way because they was like, oh, we don't want to get caught up, but they was in it too, like, and like, yeah, there's a lot of the clan that was shysters, you know what I'm saying? Of course we could go through the whole history. We're not going to do that right now because we've been through that already about, like, you know, the slave trade and the Dutch, you know what I'm saying, in the New York area. But that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, they all white. Yo, that's why I'm not even done. That's why I got to hurry up because this is just another group, you know.
Yes. And saying we stand with you the way you stood with us. Jews died for their cause.
Yeah, how much it say, Bukhari? It say I got 2 people in here. I'm one of them, and you and Oni are on the same account. I'm just talking about the shysters because lately it's been saying I had like 2 views like after I'm done, and it'd be like at least like I believe it's more than that because they be lying about the numbers. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all can still hear me.
Where's the history lesson in that? Who's teaching these kids? Because the fact that the entire black community isn't standing with us, to me, says either they just don't know.
All right, oh my bad. Y'all should be watching that documentary.
The entire black community isn't standing with us. To me, says
yeah, one that said one on mine.
Don't know, or they've been brainwashed to hate Jews. But when you've been marginalized so much as a community, the way I feel we have, isn't that when you step up?
So well, I think I think you're right. I think the brainwashing is that there's this narrative that's been created that Jews are the oppressor, Jews are genocidal.
When have we ever oppressed? Ever? You can use the argument for Israel. The UN. I mean, here's what kills me.
When it's a question for y'all. When have the shysters ever oppressed anybody or anything?
Oppressed. Ever.
Not the real shysters, but the fake ones.
I mean, here's what's
mine say 4 too.
That these kids are calling Jews colonialists. If you're gonna go with that argument, kids, then get the fuck out of America.
Right.
Because you were not here first.
Right.
Native Americans were here, and you owe them a big fucking apology and move the fuck out.
Yeah, we're the biggest occupier of all. And to your early point, the Jews in Israel are.
We? Who the hell is this we? We the biggest occupier? Who is this we? This we nonsense.
Move the fuck out.
Yeah, we're the biggest occupier of all.
Yo, what up, Holly
And
favorite?
to your early point, the Jews in Israel are indigenous people. Like, you know, but you see, that's a history lesson.
The Jews in Israel are indigenous. I don't even know if Raw was here, she would be like, they not even indigenous to Earth. This is her here, Julianne or something.
I think when people show you seventh and her feeling a sort of way about it.
Let me see if I can show you who she is.
I get it, and I can respect that. But I know her from The Good Wife. If she's
okay,
played
The Good Wife.
Since The Good Wife, I don't know about it. But I watched the show, The Good Wife. I loved the show. Well, Miss Juliana was on.
All right, so The Good Wife, that's what she played in. So I know you've seen that, Oni. I know you used to watch that show. All right, so, and yeah, just to get to the point, right? This might be another one. His nose does look a little hooked too, but so listen to this dude, right? Because they make the argument that, oh yeah, just only a few of us did it. They all was involved in it, including the shysters, especially the shysters, right? Because yeah, they were most of. If you could just like you can look now and see who the CEO of these companies are, you can look and see who the CEOs and the shareholders and the, you know what I'm saying, people who was getting paid back then from these companies like the West Indian Dutch Company, right?
We are a country that was born
okay,
like every other country. Every continent had slaves. In the South, most houses, most plantations had slaves. Nobody condones it. But without those slave owners, we don't have a country. So you make your choice. I mean, if you don't like...
You make your choice, right? You be in Africa praying to a tree right now. I don't know if he's a shyster or not.
Slave owners, we don't have a country. So you make your choice. I mean, if you don't like our country, travel. And if you find a place better, stay. And stop messing with our past.
Yeah.
Okay, says Brian Kill.
This one ain't no better, by the way. So don't get it twisted.
Great just to be able to sell books. Now it's like a mission on a war to win the war on history, because the 1619 Project was the formal.
Yeah, she said we brainwashed considerate. She was like, "How dare they?" After all they, I agree that we should, like the same way that they stood with us, we should do with them, right? Anybody that we see, right, sitting there talking about putting a Israel flag on their page, we gonna be like, all right, we already know what time it is with you, right? That's what they did. They separated. They did separate, like Colin Ferguson said. You know what I'm saying? It is. What did he say? It was the black. It was the biggest race. It was the racist and the Uncle Tom Negroes, right? Otherwise known as the handkerchief head Negroes.
On a war to win the war on history, because the 1619 Project was the formal first salvo. But it's been happening for quite a long time. Nobody was ever ducking our past. I don't know what people are talking about. And no one ever said, oh, segregation, not that bad. Slavery, well, it happens. Nobody, Republican or Democrat, especially because most of these people were Democrats. They kept on pushing to keep it and tried to almost.
All right, yeah, that's whatever, you know what I'm saying? Now, y'all remember, I meant to play this earlier too.
Are your mornings as hectic as mine? Well, I've got the.
Remember when they kept talking about some animals, this, animal, that, because this is another different kind of European here. Same thing, same whatever, but this is a French one because they just as disgusting as the shyster, right? The French one is just as well as the British too, you know what I'm saying? The Belgian, the German, right? The Italian, as much as y'all want to love them, all of them. But speaking of animals, I had to play this right before I play this because he's talking about, yeah, this is a problem for this quote unquote world order here, right? Oh, damn. Okay, yeah.
We are in a jungle and we have two big elephants trying to become more and more nervous. If they become very nervous and start war, it will be a big problem for the rest of the jungle. You need cooperation of a lot of other animals. Tigers, monkeys, and so on.
Guess who the monkeys are? I guess.
Are you on the US and the Chinese side?
What side y'all on?
Because now, progressively, a lot of people would like to see there are two.
Which you think the Denisovans plantation will be more comfortable than the Neanderthal one? Which are y'all on? Which flag y'all gonna put up?
A lot of people would like to see there are two orders in this world.
Oh yeah, she definitely need a history lesson. That's why they do the things that they do about history. They don't want us to know.
This is a huge mistake, even for both the US and China. We're trying to become more and more nervous.
When
We're in a
animals in the
jungle,
jungle,
and we have two big elephants trying to become more and more nervous. If they become very nervous and start war, it will be a big problem for the rest of the jungle. You need cooperation of a lot of other animals.
you need the cooperation. Right now, I don't know if these is they're shysters too, or if all of them, but this is the French. You know what I'm saying? Now they sitting here talking about, we got a problem with the changing world order, right?
I believe that the international context is becoming more complicated and that there is a risk of a weakening of the West, and more particularly of our Europe. Firstly, there's a dilution of our population and our produced wealth, of our share in the world trade. This has become even more true since the crisis of 2008 to 2010.
He's like, yo, this is the changing world power is a threat to them. Now, what I'm saying is, yo, you put yourself in position to be able to change your damn order. You know what I'm saying? Because we messed up. We ain't even caught up with the old world order to even talk about the new world order yet. You feel me? But, that's a whole nother thing, right? Because I don't want to play a lot of this because this dude is like too annoying, right? But the title of this, right, is starting Bill Gates announces his next scheme and it could change everything, right?
The many attempts to assert control. Here's a clear one, I would say. Attempts to ensure that you and me and everyone carry wellness.
Yeah, this ain't Turkey. Like, that's what I'm saying. This ain't Turkey somewhere. I don't know what. Go back to their indigenous land in Turkey or whatever, wherever the hell they come from.
You and me and everyone carry wellness passes. It's not a vaccine passport, it's a wellness pass. The continent of Africa for Bill Gates has always been a kind of playground for ideas where...
Oh, my bad. Okay, I gotta stop in the beginning.
Bill Gates and his foundation want to help you so much, but first they have to practice in Africa where there's less regulation and people are poorer and easier to meet. That's not the reason. He wants to help you so much. People of Africa are going to get lovely free vaccine passports. Woohoo! We'll be next.
Now, this dude is like super annoying and lame, and I can't understand nothing that he's saying with his dumb British accent. But like, yo, now just for me, I don't even want to get into that, you know what I'm saying? But like, I haven't really seen them talking about the COVID shots, and then lately I heard a commercial recently that I haven't heard for a while. They were saying like, oh yeah, just because it's been a while since you got a booster shot doesn't mean that you can't get another one right now or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he's talking about Bill Gates bringing some kind of injection into the people over in Africa.
You and me and everyone carry wellness passes. It's not a vaccine passport, it's a wellness pass.
Now they really gonna be like 0 people watching if I talk about the shysters in this.
Of Africa for Bill Gates has always been a kind of playground for ideas where he might, some would say, be looking to practice for profits that will be gleaned elsewhere after piloting them in African nations. If he loves Africa so much, I'm sure that's why he'd say, oh, no, it's just I'm doing it because I love Africa. But remember at the height of the pandemic when people said, oh, well, if this vaccine's so helpful, you better get some over to the continent of Africa. Can you waive the patent so they can make them over there? Because as you know, everyone believes this vaccine.
I don't know if y'all can understand what this dumb white boy is saying, but it's something about like, they could get the vaccine over to like, they're doing something to, I don't know. I can't really understand this dude.
Seems super helpful and it's not for profit or anything crazy like that. Bill Gates would not waver the patterns because it's not. You don't understand. You're too stupid. Let's have a look at the legacy media.
Okay. Oh yeah. So there you go. He's not wavering the patents that he has on this booster shot that y'all probably have to get coming up, or you're gonna get fired. You know, I knew somebody that got fired because they didn't get the shot, and guess what? They never got sick ever. You know what I'm saying? I haven't, like, I guess I had a cold before, but not enough to make me like lay down and be hurt, like just sneeze and blow my nose maybe. But I haven't been sick since I was like a little kid. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when I got the flu shot, and I know it was supposed to give you the flu so it can help you to fight, you know. But I haven't been sick since I have gotten a shot when I was a baby. You know what I'm saying? But I know a sister who got fired for that, for not getting it. But let me hurry up. All right,
Gates' latest, should we call it scheme, master plan? Certainly involves MasterCard.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation plans to raise its spending on health and agriculture in Africa to nearly $1.8 billion per year over the next 4 years. Now, in line with prior investments, healthcare will be a key focus for the foundation's work in Africa.
Give them a good shake, get them working. What are they doing? No wonder the Wuhan Institute of Virology is spilling all bat juice out of the windows, if that's what they're doing. Okay, let's
the Chinese virus, right? Or the Chinese virus.
Significant setback.
Well, it certainly was. A lot of people aren't feeling very well having taken that medicine.
To immunization programs, as well as stalling progress in dealing with HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria.
But that's just global business news. Let's hear straight from Bill.
Talking about some damn HIV and AIDS and all of this stuff. Now, y'all can remember, I'm old enough to remember those commercials and stuff like that, but they don't really play them on TV no more. I don't know why, but
Gates' mouth, a man we can trust.
You know, I'm the biggest advocate for...
Do you want to finish that sentence for him? Let me know in the chat.
For rich country generosity to developing countries. You know, whether it's U.S. political leaders, European political leaders. You know, I was in Japan and South Korea a couple months ago.
What are you saying? What does that sentence mean? I'm the world's nicest man. Is that what he's sort of saying? I'm the biggest advocate for kindness.
It does come at a tough time because the European budgets are deeply affected by the Ukraine war. And so right now, the trend for aid is not to go up. You know, if you take all aid, including all climate aid, we're going to have a few years here where it'll...
We got to spend it to the Palestinian children who finna come over here and kick you out, or probably kick me out in Virginia or in North Carolina or Georgia. Well, that's the Mexicans might get y'all in Georgia first. You know what I'm saying? I know Bakari had to learn Si Senor already.
Probably go down.
So essentially, what Bill Gates is saying is in order to get aid, you're going to have to participate in a piloting scheme for wellness passes. Don't call them vaccine passports. People don't like that idea anymore because independent media revealed that that is the entry point for social credit scoring. But in Africa, they're pretty desperate because aid's going to be stopping, so they'll probably participate.
Connecting children purely digitizes lifetime.
Unusual regulations. I would argue social experimentation because it's certainly...
All right. So y'all understand all of that was happening right now. Recently, right? And now this is 6 days ago. You know, they were talking about that HIV and stuff. Like now, Kenya women now, you should probably be like, because I remember he got kicked out. I think it was Kenya, right? Dude should be locked up for crimes against humanity. All the stuff that they did to Black women. You know what I'm saying? So this is they over there sterilizing Black women. They saying, oh, it's because of HIV, but it's Black women that don't have no HIV. They're taking their uterus out their body, right? And a lot of these countries that he's talking about going to.
We used to be told if you're HIV positive, you're not supposed to give birth. That is why they sterilized us.
The nurse asked me how many children I had. I told her that I had 2, and she told me that this pregnancy should be my last because I was HIV positive.
I gave birth to twins.
All right, so 4 Kenyan women have won a lawsuit after 9 years.
HIV with free medicine and baby formula.
Nurse told me that it was...
All right, they take their, they cut their tubes and take their uterus out.
The day after I delivered my baby, the nurse came around for her usual rounds. I was in a lot of pain.
That's when the nurse told me that it was because I was recovering from 2 surgical procedures, a cesarean section and a tubal ligation. I was in great shock.
All right, so you see here they're trying
As
to be
they were
like, oh, it's
delivering my
because of
baby,
HIV.
Sign-4 was permanent.
Let me see. Oh yeah, so you see, this is not anything new though, right? 11 years ago, Kenyan women,
But she's still
was suing because of sterilization, right? 11 years ago, and I think that dude, Bill Gates, probably should have got locked up, or he committed crimes against. They all commit crimes against humanity. Let's be real, but like, yeah, it's hard to separate them. Like Khalid Muhammad say, like, he went to the Holocaust Museum and he tried to separate Hitler as a freak of nature. But when he look around at all of these crackers, no matter what country, what group, what thing that they claim, it's a little bit of Hitler and a lot of people and a whole lot Hitler and a whole lot more.
These women have 2 things in common. They are HIV positive and they say they were sterilized without their consent. This weekly therapy session helps them recover from the trauma. Rhoda Musau is 40, childless and infertile. Her first child died young and her second was stillborn. She was still recovering when her husband told the doctor to sterilize her.
The doctor told me they were cleaning my stomach. I don't know what happened. I just don't know. I learned about what happened 6 months later.
A woman rights group has published a report based on interviews with more than 40 HIV positive women in Nairobi and Western Kenya. The women accuse some doctors in government hospitals and others in hospitals run by formula. She also said,
now, and the thing is, it's the connection that, all right, and I'll play this and then I'm gonna put the link in for y'all to come on, all right? If y'all want to have something to say about anything we was talking about here. And for anybody else who may be listening, nothing off subject, all right?
Found an NGO.
But and this is like, because like I said, man, they ran experiments on like a lot of women in African countries. They do that whole depopulation thing, and it goes into like this interracial thing. Like even when they were showing the mulatto child, you know what I'm saying, who had the white mom specifically, because I'm sorry, white bitches cannot give birth to black children, right? That's just how it works, you know what I'm saying? But all of this stuff is connected to all of it, right? And while we sit here talking about the NFL and just watching football is a you know what I'm saying, there's a day of joy in my house where we don't do nothing but sit there and watch football as black men. You know what I'm saying? It's disgusting, you know what I'm saying, when we in the situation that we in. Like all of these people in our community, we see that they're not going to help us. We are all we got around the world. You feel me? And for us not to have the energy to want to change is an issue. You know what I'm saying?
A court in Kenya has found an NGO called MSF guilty of coercing Kenyans into sterilizing themselves, and 4 women actually just got awarded $20,000 each for getting sterilized.
Yo, for some reason they've been sending all these damn Amber Alerts to my, and it's a Hispanic female, like and white kid, but they sent me like 3 the last 3 days.
NGO called MSF guilty of coercing Kenyans for getting sterilized without their consent. The judge ruled that the forced sterilization was a violation of their fundamental rights, including the right to establish a family. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that we are covering sterilization of Africans without their consent. These companies or NGOs, or you could be a mother, or you're not in the position financially, or you have some sort of disease, they will take it upon themselves.
So it's not just because HIV and all this stuff, because you're not in a position financially, or whatever the reason why they want you. Like, yeah, we're gonna take all your stuff and be like, oh, you're poor, right? And then so we got to take your children, because like Ms. Wilson said, they don't teach your children like ABC 1, 2, 3. They teach them how to solve problems for their society. right? Now, it's something that'll, one of your biggest problems is their society, right? Because the society is determined. That's why they so worried about us and who we support and what we do. Because what would the NBA be if black players said, all right, forget it, we ain't gonna play no more? Or the NFL say, all right, or we're gonna make our own damn league. Or we say, we're not spending our money like y'all see, y'all understand it when it comes to Starbucks for other people who gonna come here and do the same thing that the quote unquote Hispanics are doing. Anyway,
to sterilize you. One went as far as to take out the uterus of a lady that went there for a different procedure. Miss Misebi recalled her ordeal. I woke up after giving birth, looked down, and asked, why do I have a huge bandage on my stomach? I did not mind. I had just given birth to my baby daughter. She was a big baby, and I had been on medication and gone through cesarean section. I left hospital 5 days after giving birth with a healthy baby daughter and a huge scar across my stomach. I did not find out what had really happened for another 11 years. Things unraveled when I was trying to conceive again. I had been taking the contraceptive pill for the whole time since I had given birth, and so it was not strange that I had not had my period. But I got engaged and wanted to have another baby, so went to the doctor. He examined me, sat me down, gave me a glass of water, and told me I had no uterus. It is very cruel. I was
she learned 9 years, 11 years later, 9 years, whatever it was, that she didn't, that her uterus was taken out when she tried to have another child.
Devastated and confused. It did not make sense because I was already a mother. I worked out my uterus must have been removed, and the only time it could have happened was after I had given birth. It is very cruel what they did to me. I went to the press, then the health ministry, and eventually ended up back at the hospital where I gave birth with the doctor who said he was there that day. He did not say sorry. He told me that he had sterilized me in order to save my life. I still don't know what he was trying to save me from. There are no records at the hospital. I am not the only one. An inquiry has found that there are 47 others. Some were told it was because they had HIV, but I do not. I just don't know why they did it. The doctor.
Right, it's just an excuse, right? They didn't kick that dude, you know, Bill Gates out of. I thought they kicked him out of Kenya. I guess not. You know what I'm saying? Or they can't stop him, or you know what I'm saying, he's inside with the French, or he's a shyster, or he is the British. Because I still don't know who is in control, the British, the shysters, the, you know, or is it just they're all Europeans doing the same damn thing? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But anyway, I'll put the link in there, but I'm gonna show this while I wait for y'all to come on. But we're not gonna be on here long, so if you have something to say about it, because my brother Black Megas, consider if you got something to say. Bakari, you want to say something? I don't know if MG2 out there, if he want to say something. He put me on to that it was Colin Ferguson Day, so I want to show that before we go off of here, and then we get so I'll put the link in there, and then while I come on there, and then I can't see while I'm showing the I can't see while I'm sharing the screen, so I'm it's not long. I'm gonna just play like just a little bit of it. All right. Let me see. All right, what's going on, Black Megas?
Yo, BB for Hoodie, brother.
All right. Yo, let me play this, and then I'm gonna let
Go
you.
ahead.
All right, so let me play this, because
who committed this crime. The person who committed this crime is an animal.
His head bowed and his hands shackled, 35-year-old Colin Ferguson of Brooklyn was taken from police headquarters to his arraignment. The unemployed man, born in Kingston, Jamaica, said nothing during the brief proceeding at Nassau District Court.
He had to talk about why he didn't get a B in a college course he was taking, because it was racist. And we would try to bring him back to what took place on the train. And he would try to talk about the problems he was having with the job that he recently got injured on. And he wanted workman's compensation, how they had flim-flammed him and conned him into accepting a certain amount. When Ferguson got on the train, he took the absolute perfect seat for him for what he was planning on doing. The very rear of the train, took his weapon, he stepped to the aisle, and the first person he shot was sitting in the seat directly opposite. He's walking down the aisle, turning into each row, firing at people on the ground. As I said, there were times where someone would be lying on top of someone else, and both would be hit by the same bullet. He turned to go back, to return to his seat here, where he would have gotten the clips, and three men, right from this area, jumped him and wrestled him to the ground right by this.
Paperwork reveals strong hostility being harbored by him in terms of racism. He targets Caucasians, he targets blacks, he targets Orientals.
Blacks, Orientals. It is Black Mac. It is racism by Caucasians and Uncle Tom's Negroes. According to them, that's the words of Colin Ferguson.
Man, look here. Last I checked, Colin Ferguson is a hero, and a lot of African-centered groups. I don't know nothing about him wanting to. Man, we could go on forever when it comes to those who make that decision, right? That split-second decision to go out and take out some terrorists. With my local hero from New Orleans being Mark Essex, who he took on the army. He took on the army, and yeah, they had to ambush him. Yeah, hell, actually, what further up the street in Baton Rouge, we had Cosmo September Ross. So, hey, we got black heroes out there. We need to always, when we pour our libations, and if you want to say your prayers, you want to thank the spirits or the gods, the ancestors, whoever it is, make sure you thank the Colin Fergusons, the Denmark Veseys, the Nat Turners, Gabriel Prosses, Cosmo September Ross, Michael Xavier Johnsons. Make sure you give praise to those ancestors who went out and did the work so that you could be invigorated to not be afraid of this beast.
Yeah, facts. And by the way, yo, Anthony, if you still out there, come on here, bro. Like, I ain't gonna be long. But yeah, what you was gonna say though, my brother, I didn't mean to cut you off, and I know you wanted to say something. My bad.
All right, so first and foremost, I just got back from doing about 60 hours of driving as I traveled to the East Coast, and now I'm back home. And during that time, I got to catch up on a lot of your programs. And I have to first off say from the bottom of my heart, brother, I appreciate you promoting my sister, Queen Thais, and her efforts to educate our children, to get her information out there, and to even get parents trained with her PPP classes. I have watched a lot of sisters, and these are not just classes for sisters. I mean, those sisters seem to be the main participants. Once you even get your PPP certification by her, then you can attend all of her PPP classes with master teachers and receive how many hours? I believe they offer about 100 hours a semester to parents with master teachers so that they can get training in all kinds of other things. So if you missed that live, then you can still go back to the YouTube and watch it.
Yeah, yo, because that live, she was dropping information from the beginning to the end of it. And I tried to play like just a few minutes, but Black Megas, not to cut you off, but on that point, right? Number one, right? You see how they can raise money for all kind of people, but this sister has a school and doing things. That's why I'm like, yo, we can support a sister like that who already is doing something that has an institution and trying to do things, and also, like you could vouch for her, right? Her school and stuff like that, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to make without making it personal or nothing.
No, I was gonna stop right there, just giving you my thanks for personally doing that. But I was gonna tie in what she's doing to what I ultimately want to say about tonight's program. But you had to throw in these goddamn Ashkenazis. And so now you give me two things to talk about. So when it comes to the Ashkenazis, because I don't want to belabor the moment on what I really want to talk about for your program, but when it comes to these Ashkenazis, first and foremost, I would say that we have people who know and understand. Then we have those who partially know and understand. Then we have those who don't know, and then we have those who are willfully ignorant. Now, within those who are within the know, we unfortunately have some who choose to pick and choose what information that they want to abide by because they want to continue to live their lives as they can't let go of some products or their consumerism or their escapisms in sports or entertainment, whatever the hell it is. And so when you put truth in front of them, man, yeah, I don't want to hear all that. They rather be brainwashed into things. So I'm not here to talk more about these people because look here, the things
But
have already been said. A book has been written about it. If you don't want to believe it or not, then sit back and just watch what these people do.
Black
And
Vegas, you've been brainwashed. That's what the white girl said. She said you've been brainwashed. I don't know what you're talking about.
hey, in the world of those who are brainwashed, they don't know what brainwashing really looks like. So the sane are looked at as being insane, and the insane are looked at as being sane. That's the world that we live in, and that's exactly what they have wanted to create. The proof is in their actions, right? Because if they 100% believed, and this is where I'm going to end this whole talk on the Ashkenazis today. If they 100% believed in equality, then they would allow people to say what the hell it is that they want, but they don't. Because as soon as you say whatever it is you want, whenever you take whatever actions you want to take, then they come with the whole anti-Semitism to put that label upon you so that the whole populace themselves will berate you. And so now you have states who have 100% signed laws. These are states here in America. I think for the off the top of my head right now, I believe it's 13. It may have moved up to 27 who have signed laws saying that they 100% support Israel and everything that Israel does. And states like Florida, you go there, you do anything that's anti-Semitic, you will be arrested. That's because of the white nationalist who calls himself Handsome Truth, who was spreading out just pamphlets. So good old the scientists, we created a law about anti-Semitism, and so that guy got locked up for handing out that stuff in the land of the free, right? So when we're in the Western Israel, whether you want to believe it or not, and if you don't if you don't start fighting back against them, and you want to just label them, oh man, they all the same. Hey, fine by me. Move with that however you want to move. Now, for what I really wanted to talk about, brother, is race politics and what we're seeing, right? I've been watching this for a few years, and it didn't really dawn on me until about maybe 2 years ago when I said, you know what, okay, let me try my hand at podcasting. And I see that there's a lot of people on YouTube. There's a lot of people on a lot of platforms, but I didn't really see a lot on what's his name? What's the one that people do gaming on? I don't even remember. It starts with a damn T.
Like Twitch or something like that.
Twitch. There you go. Twitch. So I went over to Twitch and I said, let me first, just scout. Let me see what's going on here. And let me then jump in some people who play some games or whatever. And let me see how that dynamic is. And, I'll drop a few little nuggets here, try to build a following. And now I'll play some games and y'all can watch. But guess what? While I'm playing, I'm going to be dropping some knowledge. And I seen how that went. And I would have to say that the people who get the they get to put tags on their platform. I'm African American or whatever. But a lot of people who say that they're African American are mulattoes. And I don't think a lot of people were paying attention to that. I didn't even notice at first because I'd see a person rocking an afro. Well, never mind. They have the Kaepernick look. They have the Kaepernick look, which should have been a dead giveaway because once Kaepernick put his afro on, I told people watch out for him because it's coming. He's about to pull the okey doke, and they're out here repping that they are the African Americans and that we have to respect that. And so now, as you just showed today, the person who gets the narrative about being hated against is the mulatto, not the pure black people. It's the mulatto. So whenever it comes down to race politics, now we have to take our talking cues from the mulattoes. The problem with that is that too many people who are black or claim to be because they have the skin tone, and I don't think they have the mindset, especially when they claim to be a race man or a race woman. They will get on these platforms and tout the elders, not a John Henry Clark, not a Ishamuka Barashango, Amos Wilson, so many of them. But then we'll disregard what they talked about when it comes to race politics. Barashango, he spoke about why people asked him, why you got to make everything black? Well, when you look in the mirror, what the hell is it that you see? So we get family members, children, best friends or whatever who capitulate to this quote unquote multiculturalism, and they go sleep with the enemy, and then that person feels obligated to now love that result. And so they continue to call themselves race men, race women, or and I'm using the term race man, race woman. I'm pretty sure they use all kinds of other terms. And at that point, you've surrendered. We're watching us in America. And again, Amos Wilson even talked about this in the 80s. We're watching our people here in the hells of North America become extinct because of multiculturalism. We are going on almost 40 years from Amos Wilson talking about this on a psychological level. But you will still hear people talk about, well, I have to do this because, such and such did this and, they're part of my family now. I've seen people who have totally disregarded their family member who stepped out. You know why? Because to them, they understand that they're in war and there's treason. Now, treason is supposed to be punishable by death, but because this person used to be a loved one, they just excommunicate them from the family, which I totally understand and I get, because I'm not advocating for anybody to go out and take the lives of anybody of black skin unless that person is a Sheriff Clark or whoever. We can't sit here and act as if we continue to see our people play around in this cesspool of multiculturalism that we are going to continue to exist. As we're seeing the borders are opened, they're allowing everybody to come in to move us out. And again, for 40, 50, 60 years, we have had master teachers who have warned us that these things were coming. They have warned us of the dangers of integration, but we don't want to listen to it. We don't care. And so when you want to talk about the Jews, and you want to talk about multiculturalism, and you want to talk about standing up and doing something and fighting back against the enemy, then I say, why the hell are we still on YouTube? We talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. And this is no jab to you or anybody who's listening, but I've come on here and I've told about a black-owned platform. I've told you that we're looking to build that black-owned platform with podcasters. I put the emails out there. I've done programs myself. Crickets. And it's not just me. There's tons. There's tons of black-owned platforms out there that are doing the same exact thing. And when I tune into them, crickets. You see, we've become too complacent and believe that we can't build anything unless we have the whites or the Jews to do it for us. And then we'll use that system for however we could get any little small pennies for it or any little small notoriety for it. Why the hell are we looking to gain the masses when it's the select few? It has always been the select few. We're not going to gain the masses. We are only going to gain those who are of like minds. But the problem is there are some with like minds who don't know that there are others out there. They don't know about the forecasts. So they're not looking for you. They're just walking with their heads down and they're tuning in to the Tariq Lashids who are giving them false information. Because again, like I said, there are those who know and then there are those who don't know. But there are those who partially know. And those who partially know are starved for knowledge. But they're running into the people who are going to mislead them. And when that happens, we lose a good potential soldier. It's time we take these damn kid gloves off with these conversations. To hell with the trolls. Why are you going to come to spaces where you know you're not wanted anyway? That's more of an agent behavior than any damn thing else. That's what I got to say, brother.
Definitely. I feel you, my brother. I feel you. And all right, so I gotta get off of here in a minute, but let me ask you, well, you said a couple things. Let me do you have like extra opinion? If you had any opinions about, because you mentioned the mulatto thing, do you got any opinion about the Jonathan Majors thing, and then like also like with Megan Good being there, and then also with the Bill Gates thing that I was showing, and the women in Africa being sterilized and stuff like that, and the whole HIV thing. Not necessarily, you don't have to go down unless you want to, the whole HIV thing, but just being them sterilized. You got any opinions about those?
That is only happening because of the misleadership that Western powers have put at the heads of African unions. That's the only reason why those things are even allowed to happen. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what African country it was that did kick Bill Gates out.
I think it was Kenya, if I can remember, but I guess I'm wrong because that's Kenya.
I don't think it's Kenya, and the reason why I say that is because they're moving forward with allowing the WHO to build what's this damn thing, bio labs there. Yeah, they're building bio labs there. What the hell is the president Ruto, I believe it is. He's allowing them to build bio labs there, man. It wasn't them. I almost want to say it was probably Ethiopia. But I could be wrong on that because they have a love for white people as well. But it is one of those countries that
like
it was
Uganda or something. I don't know. I forget.
Yeah, it was one of the ones that he supposedly was bringing TB shots there, and come to find out he was sterilizing people. I think he had got away with sterilizing. And we need to actually call it what it is. That's not sterilizing. He genocided, because those were future lives that were destroyed. He mutilated the bodies of 100,000 women by the time it was found out with those so-called TB shots. And before they kicked him out. When it comes to Jonathan Majors, I mean, what is there to talk about? I mean, to talk about him means to give life and energy to that kind of bullshit. It's nothing but distractions. Guess what? He got exactly what he deserves for stepping out the way he did. And as for Megan Good, she's been in the tabloids too many times for her crazy goddamn antics, and so we know that her being on his shoulder is just the playbook that they use to, hey, you got to have what is, you got to show like support, you got to show a woman on your arms, and if the more popularity and credence that she has, the better it looks on you. I mean, that's what they do when you get ready to even go to a deposition. You know, your lawyers prepare you for that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't, I haven't been following anything on that, but I will say, has anybody seen any pictures or videos of them kissing or anything like that? Because if not, could just 100% be plutonic. And because the masses are, again, programmed to just what they see and they don't analyze any damn thing, then they fall for it. They like, yeah, man, he wouldn't do that because look, Megan Good wouldn't be with him if he did that, regardless of the fact that what they just played in the damn courthouse, the tape of him being verbally abusive to her. So, I mean, who cares? Don't breathe life into that shit. It's just like talking about the NFL wanted to take a knee for Israel. Don't talk about it. Again, because we are addicted to it, then I'm sorry, the masses are addicted to it, so it matters. Well, whatever the masses care about, it ain't what I care about. The masses are brainwashed. I'm only caring about the select few. I have to shift my gears to being more stout on what I believe and pushing that stuff out. And whoever want to rock with me, rock with me. If you don't want to rock with me, trust me, I'm better off for it. And with that, brother, I just also want to say again, when it comes to the Queen Thais, why are we even sitting here complaining about school systems and stuff like that when here you go, African Center program, it works. We're seeing that black children around this country who are being homeschooled, whether it be African centered or it's even K through 12, as long as they're homeschooled by a parent, we see that those children are graduating from these goddamn colleges at very young ages. They're not even adults and they're graduating and going over to Fortune 500 companies. If that don't tell you right there, what the hell are you bringing your child still to the public school system for? I don't know what else to tell you. I understand that some of our people are pigeonholed, especially when it comes to single parents. You know, they have to work a job, they have to work two jobs. They need a system to be able to watch over their children. So that's exactly what they do. They bring their children to public school because public school is going to provide that. You know, then you have no child left behind laws, you have truancy laws and stuff like that. So everything is designed, it's capitalism, or as somebody once told me, let's change it from capitalism to Zionism. It has to create the problems and benefit from that, and then it has to create the so-called fix and then benefit from that, and every other side effect that comes from that, it also creates something that it can benefit from that, and that's how that beast continues to make money off of us. Let's take our children away from this stuff. Let's look for these single parents who actually need help and assistance and be there. Let's build this community. Let's stop talking about this stuff and be about it. I'm getting tired of all of the mouth talking. Ain't nobody actually trying to do nothing. If you want to say that you're a Pan-Africanist and you think that Pan-Africanism is only going over to Africa to doing something, you dead wrong. I'm not going to knock you for going over to Africa and doing anything. But if you're going over there with a Negro mentality, then what the hell are you going to do? Create more Negro mentalities over there. I looked at the school back in New Orleans, St. Augustine, all boys school. $3.9 million to the entire graduating class in scholarships to colleges. And you know what I see? I see success, and I also see future Boule members. We can't be so foolish, and I've said this on your platform many times. We can't be so foolish to think that we can continue to send our children to these people colleges. I don't care if it's a HBCU or a PWI. We can't continue to send our children to these colleges just so they can go work a job for a Fortune 500 or any company. Guess what? They're taking their talents to the cracker so that the cracker can destroy us and bleed us dry. When the hell are we going to wake the hell up and do something different and build something for ourselves? Let's stop talking about it and let's be about it.
Yeah, definitely, my brother. And my brother Anthony said it was Kenya where over 500,000 women were sterilized, but it was before Ruto. It was Kenyatta was president. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Where he got kicked out before. But that's why I made me question it, because it's Kenya now that he is one of the countries that he's coming back to, I think. So but yeah, definitely. And I agree with you on that, my brother. I agree with you. So but yeah, do you have you know, anything else you want to say before we get off of here is you know, I ain't trying to make it 2 hours, but you know.
Oh no, you good, brother. That's all I really wanted to say. And again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, my family's heart, and from Queen Thais. Thank you for promoting her.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I'm always support her what she doing, you know. And like I said, it's been a minute since I donated to her. Like I think everybody probably should, you know. So I need to do that again, you know what I'm saying? Because we need to support because with the people who's actually out there doing it, that's one way that you could do it, show it like by supporting them so that they can do what they need to do for their institutions, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate you, my brother Black Magus. Shouts out to Black Magus for coming on here. Um, and by the way, my brother, when you on there, send me like reminders because I'm not gonna lie, I'll be forgetting when, like sometimes when your program because like I listen to it while I'm at work, but sometimes I listen to everything. I'm not gonna lie. So when you I would listen to everything that you be sending me though. So
Nah, for the most part, man, I'm not even. I'm trying to still do some things on the Instagram. But I'm tired of the trendy stuff because you censored for what you want to say. So I created a Telegram channel where I put a bunch of that information, but I'm uploading it to On the Wake Up Radio and to otw2.com. That's where you'll really find like the real the meat and the potatoes of things. But on Instagram for Black Family Vanguard, still going to do some things on there. I'm actually working on showing people how you just do simple research. I'm gonna cover this food. Edward Blum. Again, you have this Jewish people in here talking about, they help black people this and they help black people that. Well, why do you then, throw the rock and then hide your hands behind your back? Like it's not you who are the same people who are now coming to dismantle everything. And Ed Blum is a Jewish guy, so probably tomorrow or sometime this weekend, I'm gonna show people how you just do a simple search on stuff, and you just continue to click. You read, and then you click. It's simple. Read and then click. You have to unmask these people. That's how they're able to blend in and everybody just say, "Oh no, they all just white. I can't tell them apart." Well, okay, I'm gonna help you find out who Ed Blum is then.
yeah, I understand that, my brother. But like, you know, the thing is like, yo, because it's like, yo, you have the French, they're no better. They do the same exact thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they are the savages too. You know what I'm saying? You have the
Definitely.
British, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just what I mean by that. But
You know what though? We
mhm.
can't we can't give credit. Don't give too much credit to the Anglos for intelligence. Because if you really pay attention, the Anglos are stupid. Anglos are very stupid. It's these. I'm not saying that all of them are stupid, but the vast majority, they're stupid. I think you can look at redneck culture for that.
Yeah,
Um,
Greek culture.
Greek. That's what I was going to say, and Greek culture. But when you look at how they move versus how Ashkenazis move or Sephardim, whatever you want to call them, they move in total different fashions. Um, if you train yourself to have that, I know y'all don't like hard code as much, but if you listen to even what he says, remove the BS from what he says for the actual knowledge that he drops, which is hard. You can get a semblance of on how to unmask who is who.
Yeah, yeah. I got a problem with hardcore. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely he was well only between him and MD2 was talking about the East Indians because they are the whole nother problem. But it's not just Europeans because we could just say Europeans. You know what I'm saying? As a whole, they're Europeans too. But
There you go. That's a good thing. You can say just Europeans.
yeah, but also Asians, you know what I'm saying? Because there is every like the way I see it, if you're not black, you're white, you know what I'm saying? You could call it whatever you want. If you ain't us, you not us, you know what I'm saying? So
Hey, you can't spell Caucasian without spelling caucus and Asian. So that tells you right
yeah,
there where they from.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Bukhari said it's just white people. All right. So, and definitely, man, and shouts out to MB2 for putting me on to like, yeah, it's Colin Ferguson Day. I didn't realize that. Also, did you know about Madison, Washington?
I did not, so I'm gonna have to go do some research to find out about that one.
Yo, the brother, the story goes, they gonna say it's fake once they learn about it. They ain't say it's fake because they don't really know
Oh no,
too much.
I watched the video that you played.
Okay. Yeah. That brother was a hero. That brother went back down and got his wife, you know what I'm saying, and freed like 100-some people and sailed them to the Bahamas, you know what I'm saying, over there with
It
cocaine.
almost sounded like that's what they based Django off of as you were playing the video. I was like, is this what they based Django off? Because that again, that's how we're seeing that they're even making their movies that they're putting black cast in. They're getting it from real life black people, but then they're twisting who the people are. Even when you look at what's that film Jonathan Majors did on the five something. I don't know what the hell it is because I didn't watch it all, but it was a Jay-Z film or something like that.
Jay-Z.
All of the
No.
yeah, it was on Netflix. It was like a Western type joint.
Oh, you talking about I think I know what you're talking about when they was like in the Wild Wild West. It had like Regina King and all of them in there.
Yeah. Every person who was in that film is a real life person. Thing is, they were not who they were portrayed to be in that film.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Because they were supposed to be real life people, but that's not who they were.
Yep, hat tricks.
Yeah.
The hat is only gonna fund it if you're gonna lie.
Yeah. Yo, that's why we here to celebrate, you know what I'm saying, Colin Ferguson Day, because Colin Ferguson was also a hero. Like Madison Washington was a hero. And I'm glad they haven't made a movie about Madison Washington because they would probably make it some BS. You know what I'm saying? Yo, even that movie with John Brown, it was the black dude who was with it. They made a movie about him, but it wasn't the truth. But that's a whole nother
of course not. As Khalid Abdul Muhammad said, I love Colin Ferguson, and I'm glad he caught that train. I hope you ending this program with that clip specifically with him being on Donahue saying that.
Oh yeah, I think all right, so I have to. That's gonna be the last. I was gonna let Amos Wilson also have so I'll do that, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let a minute from Amos Wilson and then that be the last words. So
all right, but I'm shutting up now. I'll just want to watch that.
Yo, all right, so our shots and let me shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to Black Maggots for coming on here. Appreciate it. Y'all support my brother Anthony. Appreciate my brother Anthony. Definitely all love. Bakari, Realm in the Bush. She's another sister, and it's interesting that you see a lot of the sisters doing more than the brothers is doing. And that's just crazy, you know what I'm saying? But she has an actual program that's helping people in real life, you know what I'm saying? So you support what she's doing. Shouts out to Highly Favored. Shouts out to Oni. Shouts out to Koku who was in here. Shouts out to Melanated Goddess who was in here. My brother Guy. And shouts out to Erica Howard. Definitely appreciate her. Shouts out to Ross. Shouts out to MG2. I appreciate you for putting me on to that. And everybody else too. Shouts out to y'all. So, you know what, y'all? We're gonna let this be the last words here, y'all. Hopefully.
There shall be no racial harmony for the next 20 or 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get used to the idea. You got to get used to the idea if you're going to win your freedom that you're going to be disliked by a lot of people. Protect our interests, to maintain our style of life, to maintain our freedom and independence, even though you as an individual think you are just going to work and coming home. You see, and think you're just drinking beer and looking at the football game. But frankly, if you look at the totality of the way the economic and political system operates, you're a part of a total system, and what you do is integrated in a system that is designed to act in the world. Now, we as African people then must lose our unconsciousness in this system. We must become conscious of ourselves as workers, as professionals, as this and that, and whatever we are, and be aware of how what we do is integrated and related to the whole of African people and to African ends and purposes. So it is not enough just to gain skills or just to gain knowledge. You must ask skills for what, knowledge for what, and in what way does my skill and my knowledge contribute to the advancement of African people as a whole? In what way can these skills be institutionalized and be built into the culture such that our culture expresses itself as power? I'll end it here. We talked the other day about white global supremacy, the other evening, Wednesday. And I wanted to get my people to understand, though, that there's a crisis in white global supremacy. White global supremacy is in severe, severe crisis. In fact, we may be witnessing the decline and fall of white supremacy in the world. That's why, again, I mentioned other ethnic groups, because we get too caught up on what white folk are doing. We're going to look up one day and find that white folk ain't even in control of the world anymore. That's right. That's what we're dealing with are what? Asians. That's right. Yeah. The Asians have already called this the Asian century. They call it this what? Consciously. They know exactly where they are going and what they want to do. And don't get caught up in this idea because they ain't white, they're in your favor. Oh yeah, we like to get that up, We like to get on that kick. Non-white, you heard. The Japanese have already given you a taste of how they feel about you. The Japanese have the highest, probably the highest racial superiority complex of any group on this globe. Oh yeah, you just don't hear about that part. They have even Koreans over there they haven't assimilated yet. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Chinese as well. That's right. Very chauvinistic, very superiority-oriented ideas of who and what they're about. If you think you're going to get a better break under the Chinese, a better break under the Japanese, or these other people, you got another thought coming. You must understand the situation.
I was going to let that be the last words, but I will give it to Khalid Muhammad. That's funny, the century of the Nisavan.
Here's what you said about Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican a black male who shot 6 people on the Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. I have no official position, so I can say I love him.
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
You also...
All right, yo, I could play a lot more from that, but I'm not. So yeah, man, shouts out to Colin Ferguson Day. Yeah, definitely. I say, I say, yeah, get on the train. Colin, get on the train. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So shouts out to him. Shouts out to Madison Washington. Shouts out to Micah Xavier Johnson. Shouts out to that brother in the parade. I can ask Bakari, what do you think about that brother? You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to all of the great people who actually put their money where their mouth is. You know what I'm saying? Who did more stuff than all of us could say. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, we got something to live up to and something to achieve. Like Black Mega say, this is a tool too, you know what I'm saying, to program and to learn, because I didn't know who Madison Washington is. And we should let our children get information, but also control the information that we are giving out. And we need our own information to share amongst each other. And I'm glad I could get to meet y'all brothers who are about some, and sisters who have taught me a whole lot. So I know I have learned a whole lot, even just from this platform and stuff like that. But like, until we on some Colin Ferguson time, I don't know how we're gonna change the world order. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.